All right, guys, welcome back to Within Tolerance. This is episode 33, and today we have a special guest on. We have Kelvin from Urban Survival Gears. If you guys don't know who he is, he makes some really cool pens all in his garage, and he's got a very interesting story. He's expanding very rapidly. So, Kelvin, just kind of take it away. How did you get into machining? Where did this all start? And just tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, my name is Kelvin. This is how I got started. Now, it's gonna sound like a shotgun approach, but it's actually in like a straight line. So look, since I was like 12, right? I worked 4 and 5 jobs all the time because back in them days, they didn't really check information like, and I looked like I was 25 when I was like 13. So nobody asked any questions. So seriously, man, that's how I was. I mean, I was working in like KFC and fast food and sales since like 13, and I was working like 2 shifts a day. It was wild. It was insane. But check this out. At about 18, I had over 100 jobs. All were in
Whoa.
sales. Yes, I'm
What?
not kidding.
Jeez.
That is not an exaggeration. Okay, back when malls were really hot, right? I figured out that if I worked really good at one job, any other job in the mall would take me. So at any one time, I would have 3 jobs and get fired from one of them for just not showing up because I had 2 other ones. So what ended up happening was that I would get a job at like KB Toy. Seriously, dog, I'm dead serious, man. I had a job at like KB Toy Stores, Miller's Outpost, and the movie theater, right? And then I wouldn't show up to the movie theater because the bus wouldn't run, so I got fired from that one. Then I worked at Macy's. Then I worked over at Jeans West. I mean, every store in that mall, I was in it at some point. The reason that is important is because in sales you get over your fear of talking to people. That was the non-engineering side that makes me unique. Is that I have no issue with being in your face because I was a telemarketer. I would have to call you at like 7 p.m. and entertain you in order to like give money to something. So I would have to be just that guy to grab your attention and be like holding it. Now, when I wasn't working, my dad had this awesome wood shop, right? And he would he had customers, but he would basically let me just go in there and just destroy stuff straight up. I made like swords out of wood. I made like nunchucks out of wood. If it was wood, I made like connects because I was too broke to buy Legos, so I made them. I made like connects with like motors and solar panels, and I made cars, I made boats. I would race these little styrofoam boats in like the runoff going to a creek. And I had motors on it and lights back when RC was hot. And I didn't know at the time they called that engineering. I didn't know what that meant. I was like, I would build stuff, and in high school they was like, "What do you want to be?" I'm like, "I like to build stuff. You should try engineering." I said, "Okay, sure, man." So sure enough, I graduate high school. I go to college. I made the mistake that every engineer makes. I went civil first. The reason that is unique is because civil, nothing moves. You make very pretty squares with roofs. And a lot of it isn't building, it's basically project management. I lasted about 3 months in that major. At the same time, I'm still working 4 and 5 jobs in college to pay for it, so I'm still doing sales. Now, and I'm not exaggerating, dead serious. When I went to college, I worked everywhere on that campus at least for 6 months. It was insane. I mean, and people look at me like, "How did you stay awake?" I was like, "I didn't." Okay, quick. Okay, man. I know I'm tangenting, but quick story. I used to be a security guard, but I would also film classes for remote viewing or remote education, right?
Hmm.
So I would be in my security outfit in the back with a camera on my shoulder, filming at the same time. So I'm working for the filming place, but on the way of doing my like route, I would stop and work like 2 hours. Then I would go back on the route.
Oh my god.
That's how that worked out. So I mean, if you could imagine the overlapping conundrum of my life. You kind of get it. It was like, hold on, dude. And I remember this. Okay, there was one particular day to where I worked 3 jobs simultaneously, and I'm not joking. I was literally clocked into three different jobs. I was a security guard, getting paid security guard, getting paid as a video guy, and tutoring at the same time. I
Oh
had
my
somebody
God.
I had somebody in the booth that I was tutoring in material science. I was filming the class that was in front of me with all these cameras. It looked just like the Star Trek, like Star Trek, Mr. Sulu thing. Wherever he sat at, that's what it looked like. And then at the same time, I had like 1,000 keys. I was like sitting on like my right side, and I was unlocking buildings. That's my life for like 4 years straight up. Now I went civil, right? Failed it, horrible. I mean, I tell you right now, I got like C's and like less than C's. It was bad. Somebody said, you do understand that since you like military stuff, civil engineers make targets, mechanical engineers make bombs. Huh? So Kelvin went to be a mechanical engineer. And after I did that, I excelled. And I can tell you right now, the only reason I excelled in mechanical engineering was because I spent all those hours in my dad's shop making things. Because when you get into that major, you got 2 tracks. You're gonna be an analyst where you take data and you like do things with it, or you have people that are more like artists that actually make the things that do stuff. And contrary to popular belief, the people that have the most impact that make the things that no one's ever seen before do it by engineering wit. That is a funny way of saying feel. They just know how things work because they've made so many things in the past. So all that compounding knowledge, every year they get better, they make more, they do more. That's why guys like Alexander Graham Bell can make phones and talk to people that aren't even around. I mean, think about that. Up until that point, everybody talks to each other face to face. He wants to talk to people that aren't even there. How are you even gonna think of something like that? That's the
Very
type of
true.
stuff. That's what I'm trying to say. Is like I know I'm not short in engineering programs. They're fantastic, but it's like this. Before I went to college, everything I've made since then, I could have made before college. The only difference is that after college, I can quantify my assumptions. That's the only difference. I knew that a certain beam can hold about this much weight. But after college, I can say it should be holding about 45 kilonewtons plus or minus a factor of 5. That's what I
Right.
got out of college.
That's fair.
So senior year, right? Senior year rolls around, and I wasn't the best guy in numbers, but I can make things. So senior project comes, right? Everybody that was like an equation ninja that would like they can do every equation, Laplace transform 100% on test. When it was time for them to actually apply it and make stuff, they couldn't make jack. So I came in. What was it? It was a ping pong. It was an automatic ping pong ball practice mate. It had like 3 skill levels. It would shoot the ping pong ball at certain places on the table tennis thing,
Hmm.
and you could actually play against it. And I programmed it. I did it in one night. Dead serious. I was working like three or four jobs. So I walked into the lab at like I don't know, at like 9 p.m. And by 10 a.m. the next day, I had a fully working model program done.
Wow.
And I got like top grade in the class. There was a certain toy company that will remain nameless that bought the rights.
Really?
Yeah, because what they didn't tell me was, hey seniors, we're fun. We're gonna buy the materials and quasi buy the product and buy the rights because we paid for it. So what happened was that when I made this, everybody crowding around my machine like, and the thing is, I didn't have a machine shop, so I made it with like toilet paper tubes to make a hopper, hot glue. I had like RC motors to like shoot let the balls out. I think I got like the gear ratios from like my master car back then. I mean, it was crazy. And I just made it one night. Bam. Me and the crew just sat down, made it, and it worked. And everyone was like, how the hell did you do that? I'm like, dude, I could do this the whole time. Y'all don't know. I could do this the whole time. I got stuff better than this at home. And everyone's like, why were we on your team? I'm like, because here's the thing. I know I can't say this word on your podcast, but just use your imagination. I I I went last, right? And when I went after my presentation, there were some more people going, and I'm like, okay, why are they going after me? Because they saw my presentation and was like, I'm not going on, but I'm not going on before him. I'm gonna go on after him. So I'm waiting, right? Because I got an idea in my head, and I don't want to be like a dick. I didn't want to do that. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait till the end. And when I got to the end, an idea popped in my head. I'm like, yo, bleepity bleep 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 s people can't make jack. And I stood up because you gotta remember, for the 4 years, they were like, well, you don't know how to do a Laplace transform with like 3 variables. I'm like, yeah, dude, I can make a thermodynamic, whatever it is, better than you. Yeah, but that won't matter. Ha ha ha. But when it came to apply it, oh, seriously, dude. And they would just be dogging me like, I'm looking at this dude like, all right, dude. All right, folks, I can take your lunch. It's okay. So sure enough, at the end, right, I blasted everybody out. And I remember I stood up in front of everybody. I was like, yo, mother can't make jack. And everyone was like, everybody got dead quiet. The room just got quiet. And everybody, no one, as a matter of fact, when I stood by a door next to my project, everybody shook my hand. It was like, man, you had the best project all year, man. You had the best project all year. You had the best project all year. So I went back to the dean's office, right, to get my project. He says, oh, it's gone. I'm like, what do you mean it's gone? They're like, oh, somebody wanted to take it and do something with it. And I'm like, okay. But when are they gonna give it back? Oh, they won't give it back. I'm like, so you say you stole it? Well, technically we didn't steal it because we bought the materials. I'm like, okay, lesson learned. Gotcha. Keep your masters. Keep your masters. Gotcha. Okay. So come to find out, a certain toy company bought the rights, and there's a certain toy on the market that looks a lot like my tech.
Wow.
Can't say who it is because they are very litigious. Very.
Jeez.
Now, check this out. I left there, joined the Air Force, became an officer, and I became a flight test engineer, right? Basically, I fly the backseat of F-16s doing flight tests. And I did that for about 4 or 5 years. Learned a lot of stuff. Didn't get to make anything, but I figured, hey, once I get out the military, I will find a job making things. Got out the military, and I got a job with the DoD. Again, fast forward 5 years, didn't make anything. This is where you start hearing the CNC stuff, because engineers, if you don't make anything, you start going crazy. It's just in your DNA. Everybody had Connects, everybody had Legos, except for me. I made mine. But still, everybody had that stuff, right? So I start like tinkering with stuff. And then I saw this one video. Who was it? John Saunders. I saw one of John Saunders' early vids when he was back in the apartment. And he had this little machine that could fit on the desk and could cut metal and you could program it. And I'm like, okay, I want that. Well, that machine was out of my price range. So what I did was I watched about 1,000 videos on YouTube. Wait, hold on. CNC Zone. I was on CNC Zone, and there was this like forum called Benchmade Machines, and they basically took manual machines that you can buy from Harbor Freight and you CNC them. So what I did was that I bought a Grizzly 0679 machine, the one before the good one. It was like the non-articulating head. It weighed maybe like 5 pounds, wet. Oh God, yeah, that thing was atrocious. And what I did was that I machined a CNC kit and I CNC'd it, and then I got all the wiring. Uh, I designed the wiring. I ran the wiring. The reason why this is important is because I had to learn everything from the inside out. I mean, it. I was spending 9, 10 hours a night trying to find out how it worked, why it didn't work, why it crashed, what's coolant, what's an end mill, why I got to use HSS, why you want to use M42, why you want to use carbide, why I can't use carbide because it's only 6,000 RPM. Oh, I got to use synthetic because blankety blank. And that was kind of the crucible where I learned just the basics and did that for about 3 years. Now we get into where it goes to kind of like you're almost you're gonna start seeing money because up to this point I was doing 50 or 60 hours a week in the shop just because I enjoyed doing it. There was no money involved. There was no you can make this into a business. It was just I like making things and cutting out squares. That's all it was. I like cutting out squares. Yay! I like making this. I like making up kits to like upgrade the machine to make it better. And then you're getting to this point to where you're going to max out your machine because hodgepodge stuff it breaks down a lot, a lot. So I wanted at the time I was doing remote control planes. I wanted to build a machine to cut out molds for carbon fiber. And my thought was, you know what? I gotta pay for this machine that's like a 3x5 CNC CNC fiber cut machine, whatever. And it was like 20 grand. I priced it out and I'm like, I can't pay that. So I made it. So I took the Grizzly machine that I had, I designed the whole thing in in like a CAD. I designed it. It took oh god, how did it take? It took 6 months. So I learned CAD by doing that on my own time. And it took
Wow.
6 months. I mean, every day, it was 8, 9 hours a day. I spent on SolidWorks. I mean, I started logging it at about month 2. I mean, by the time I got done with the machine and had it going, I had like 8,000 hours. I'm
Jeez.
not joking. I'm not joking. 8,000 hours straight of SolidWorks. 8,000 hours. And by the time I got everything completed, that's when I got the Grizzly machine. And that's when I started making the machine with that machine. And then building the router. There it is. Router. That's it. Yep. That's the word. The 3x4 router. It's crazy that I think about it, man. At 3x4 router, it was 3 feet by 5 feet. Gantry had like a water cooled Chinese spindle. It took me a year and a half to make that because I made every part myself. Every single part on that machine I made, except for the 80/20 pieces.
So at this point, were you still working at the DoD?
Yep.
Oh
I never
wow.
stopped working. I know the money and the stop working, that was like way down the line. This is just because Kelvin liked to make stuff.
Okay.
Seriously, I mean, people are like, I mean, I would go to the middle, I would go to the DOD and they'd be like, Kelvin, you're insane, dude. You spend all your time looking at CNC stuff, even when you're at work. I'm like, so you look at like, so I was crazy back then. I was like, so it's like you look at it like it's porn, dude. I was like, okay, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. But still, man, that's how it was. And then I finally get the machine done, right? And I cut my first mold. And I tried to like offer a service and nobody took it. So at this point, I didn't put 3 years into making this machine thinking that, okay, to pay the machine, to pay the cost of building the machine, I'll offer a service to pay it back. Could not find any customers. How crazy that is.
Yeah,
Lesson
that
number
is crazy.
two. Lesson number two. Never, ever, ever open a business model without doing market research. Never, never, ever. If you're going to go into a business, research that area well. Know it inside and out. know who your customer base is, know if the market is growing or if the market is shrinking. Know if you can market that specific section reliably. Do you have a voice for, do you have a face for like, can you make copyright? Can you do that? Can you write copies? Can you take effective pictures? All the skills I learned when I was in high school while selling and calling people and keeping their attention, they they gave me the edge here. You would think it's because, oh, you were DOD, you're flying on F-16s, you were doing this, that. No, no. The fact I can talk to you, make you laugh, hang out with you, and not be a dick, that's what gets me in. Seriously, you think it's crazy. It sounds crazy. But the fact, if you put me side by side with all of my peers, that's where I stick out. And the thing is that I even tell my customers now, I'm like, look, I'm not gonna say who's better and who's better and who's worse. What I will tell you is I'll give you the best experience. That's what I can do. If you call me, I answer the phone. If you say you got a problem, I talk to you on the phone. If you say you got this, I fix the problem. And it's fast. Why? Because I care. You got to take care of your people. That's one thing in the military that they drill into you. If you're an officer and you're in charge, they don't serve you. You serve them. You're working for them. They can fire you if you suck. It takes a lot of effort to fire somebody that's under you, but they can fire you in a hot minute. So you have to enable your people to succeed. I mean, matter of fact, the last Pope, he said the same thing. He was given a briefing, right? And they showed the pyramid showing how all the bishops and cardinals all point to him, right? He said, this is wrong. He took the poster and turned it upside down. He says, no, I serve them. My job is to make their life better. Yes, I get the big piece of chicken. Okay, great. Yes, I get to have the cool robe. Yes, I get the Pope mobile. But at the end of the day, my job is to make sure everybody else gets to eat. That's my job, is to make sure everybody eats.
That's fair, yeah.
So that's how I treat customers. Well, I don't even call them customers. I call them my people, because the way a lot of people can't pull off my model because they don't want to be touchy-feely with their customer base. I may be wrong on that. That may be an incorrect observation. But for the most part, people want to sit way back and just manage the confusion, which is fine. But what I always tell my people is that, look, I'm the engineer. I make the pens, but actually, I'm the head of HR that also makes pens.
Right.
If that gives you an idea, that's what my focus is. Yes, pens, great. With that model, I can make pens, I can make wallets, I can make phones. It really doesn't matter. The vehicle is the same. I'm sorry, no, wait, not the vehicle. What the guts are of the vehicle are the same. I just changed the outfit.
Right.
It's Kelvin's pens, Kelvin's phone, Kelvin's mouse, Kelvin's water bottle.
So how did you go from this failed router attempt to where you are now? What's the next step in the story?
All right. So the router failed. Bam. I sell the router for like a fourth of what it cost to build it. Okay. Sweat equity. Then I meet my boy Brad. Brad at Tactical Keychains. That was my first mentor. I call him Sensei because he was my first mentor. I tried to make a steam turbine, and I tried to sell that. One comment changed my life. He says, hey, these are pretty cool. You should put them on Kickstarter. And I said, what's Kickstarter? He says, come on over here. So then he took me to his Kickstarter, and all I did for like a year was watch projects. Again, market research. I'm like, what sells? What doesn't? What campaigns sell really well? What do they have in common? And I saved like, I don't know, over 100 campaigns. And I'm like, okay, to make over 100 grand, I see the campaigns have to have clear picture, good copy, not a lot of writing. I mean, minimal writing. There were a couple campaigns where this dude put bullet points, customer reviews, and pictures. And that dude made like 100 grand every time. He did, and I can't call his name out because I don't know if he's listening, but he know who he is because he like the Kickstarter master. He is. So I'm like, okay, lesson number one: people don't want to read a lot. Some of them do, but the majority of them, they want to see a picture, they want to know what it's about within about 4 seconds, and they want to buy. You got to make that process as seamless as possible. So I'm reading Kickstarter for like a year. I'm just watching all these projects, and I came out with my own project, a bottle opener. But the thing is, market research, that was a shrinking market, and I got it at the very tail end. I mean, I made gold, but I didn't do nearly as well as the predecessors. Not because it was inferior, but because the time was gone. The time was gone. So I learned a lot from that project, and what I did acquire was a base. Because what I did differently than every other Kickstarter was that I gave you a 30-minute project update every week. I would edit, act, script all my episodes, and I did that for a year. Every week you got 30 minutes of what's going on. And I'm talking just like I'm talking right now. So what happened was I was 6 months late I was 6 months late finishing everything. Do you know I had one person complain? Do you know what the complaint was? I'm glad the project's over, but I'm going to miss the episodes. Then that's where a light hit on. I'm like, wait a minute. The product isn't the product. Well, in my particular scenario, the product was me. It wasn't the bottle opener. That's because here's the thing. As long as I was doing the episodes, I was selling. And I'm sitting there going, wait a minute, I'm not. And back then, I didn't do Facebook. I didn't do anything. No Instagram. All I did was serve the market that bought the bottle opener. And it wasn't like it was only like 200 people. Those 200 people, I mean, I was getting like 90% watch rates. Back then, back in like 2004. Of those 200 people, most of the people watched the show. And that's when I figured out, I'm like, wait a minute. This is a TV show. It's a TV show about a product that they already bought. So then, yeah, then it gets deeper, right? I'm like, okay. I asked somebody, I said, what's your favorite show? At the time, it was The Walking Dead, the first episode, when it was good. I said, what's your favorite show? Walking Dead. I said, okay. How much would you pay to call Rick Grimes on his cell phone once a month and just chop it up with him for 10 minutes? How much would you pay for that? He said, priceless. I said, wait a minute. The show is the product to get your attention to watch. But the fact you can interact with the host is more valuable than a TV show experience. He said, yeah. Light bulb. Light bulb. So wait a minute. I have to find an excuse to make a show. That's how the model got born. That's when things got real. Because I figured it out. I'm like, wait a minute. Yes, I like your product. But when I get your product in my hand, it's a closing thing. It's not an opening. Most people sell you something and the sale's over and they run away. I worked in TV and I worked in media for a long time. We had this thing called P system. P1, P2, P3. P1s, these are your diehard fans. They buy everything. They buy everything that you sell. They like every post you do. They follow everything. They're the ones that hit you up and say, hey, have you tried this before? These are your people. Then you got P2s. Your P2s. These are people that occasionally watch. They occasionally buy something. They're not in love with it, but they find it entertaining. Then you got P3s. P3s are the ones that want and drop. They buy one thing, then they drop it. They don't really know who you are. They don't care. They saw it in passing. The majority of your big box customers or your big corporations, they focus on getting P3s. They want new money, new blood coming in. They like you coming back, but they don't put that much money in making you come back. They put their money into getting you. If you understand that concept, what I'm doing is not very difficult to understand. The way their marketing works is that we're going to spend X amount of dollars and get X amount of returns. Who the returns come from, we really not going to focus on that much. Whereas you got smaller guys, right? Their overhead is very small. Did you know that the average income for America is $37,000? That is the middle income of America. Huh. Single person. Single person. Okay, I'll tell you what. Look this up. Wall Street Journal, what percent am I? It's a sliding scale showing the spectrum of how much money is made per person in America. And you will see the 51 percentile of America makes $37,000 minimum. I'm sorry, makes $37,000 single. The reason that's profound is this. The majority of people hate their jobs. The majority of people make $37,000 a year. They slave away 40 hours a week, 160 hours a month, sometimes weekends, most of the time weekends, overtime, dealing with people, dealing with bosses they hate, just for $37,000. The reason I'm saying $37,000 is that if you took the time to develop something, it can be a product, it can be a course, it can be anything, and charge $100, how many products would you have to sell in a year to make your income from that job you hate? 370. Break that down further. If you break down 370 by 12, that is 30 plus products a month. To meet your needs of your lifestyle, you only got to sell 37 units a month of whatever you put all your time, love, and energy into. To quit your job, you only got to sell 37 things a month. And if you charge more for that item, you got to sell less of it.
Huh, that's a good way of looking at it. It's an interesting way.
If you spend 16 hours a day doing something for 10 years, it is impossible not to be good at it. The barrier is hard work. And that's what keeps everybody out. I figured all this stuff out when I talked to Brad and got on Kickstarter and spent that whole year. And all I did was just feed my customer base and ask them questions. What do you want to see? What can I do better? Open forum. What can I do better? What do you want to see more for? What do you want to see less of? And it got to the point where the product wasn't what I was making. The product was how I was making it. Then I had an idea. At the time, the best TV show out there was TDC. The Learning Channel. How It's Made. How It's Made. That was the #1 show at the time. And all that show did was take the items that you have in your hand and show you how to make them. That was the highest grossing show at the time. It had a narrator. Didn't even have a host. It had a narrator. All he did was say what's going on while it was going on. Then I said, okay, well, hold on. If people want to see that, and if somebody would be priceless to talk to Rick Grimes on the phone, what if I combined them? What if I made a guy that is interesting, dynamic, happy, and not fake, just being yourself? What if I take Rick Grimes and have him host How It's Made with jokes? I wonder what would happen. That's when Urban Survival Gear came out. And that's how I ran it for like 5 years. I was like, look, I'm not interested in money. What I want to do is get the people. I want to get as many people as possible. And for that 5 years, I ran Kickstarters. Every year I ran a Kickstarter. Every year. Kickstarter, Kickstarter, Kickstarter. And my goal for that Kickstarter was not to make money. It was to collect people. That's what time in. And I started to see that schedule didn't matter. They want to see the show. They want to be entertained. They wanted to be able to interact with the host. If you got to call Rick Grimes on a cell phone, or matter of fact, if you got to send Rick Grimes a DM saying, "Hey man, I like what you made, but could you go ahead and like pick up Simone next time?" Okay, sure, no, man. Sure. Okay, cool. The next episode, he pick up Simone. You're like, I did that. I told him to do that, and he did it. Oh man, he listened to me. If you get what I'm saying, it's not hard.
Right. Yeah.
It's easy. That's all I do. So when Urban Survival Gear dropped, I was doing Kickstarter. And my boy Brad was in the back seat every time saying, and I remember, matter of fact, the next big hit. I remember like it was yesterday. I said, "Hey Brad, I got these hokey machines and I gotta produce more. So I want to do." He sends me a link to the mill I have now. He says, "Buy this mill." I said, "Hey man, look, check it out. I ain't got money like that." He says, I will quote this, and he hate me quoting him, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I don't care. He was like, "Either you buy it or I will." So sure enough, walked into the bank, said I want a loan. They said, "How long you been in business?" I said, "Here it goes." Showed them all stuff. They said, "Approved." Bam.
And this was your robo drill?
Yep, that was robo drill. That was the first major purchase. When I bought the robo drill, I'm like, okay, it's gonna take me 4 years to pay this thing off. That machine was paid off in 3 months.
Wow.
Fully paid off, 3 months. That's because it's always fears, always doubt in the back of your mind, like, is this gonna work? So you gotta do like that. What was that? Sean Connery, Harrison Ford. What's that movie? And Indiana Jones, Last Crusade. Mm-hmm. Remember that scene where he had that bridge that he couldn't see?
Uh-huh.
Do you remember that scene? And he just stepped out and he was like, "Oh crap, it's here." That's what happened. That was the scene. That's what happened. I was like, it's gonna take me 3 years, man. I'm gonna lose my house, man. I'm gonna lose the machine. 3 months later, it's paid off. I'm like, okay, hold on. That's when the fear started. That's when the fear became more in the back seat. And then I kept rolling, kept doing this. And then one day, Brad made a pen, right? And this is something I learned back from my dad's shop, like years ago. I said, "Dad, how come you ain't got a planer?" He says, "My products don't require a planer. If they did, I would get them. All my shop is meant to make cabinets. You gotta make what you can make and then roll." So I went back and said, okay, with the machines I have right now, what can I make? What am I meant to make? I can make pens. But like I said, I'm making pens. I make my version of a pen. I put my style on the pen, but I'm using the same vehicle from 2005. It's Kelvin doing How It's Made, acting like Rick Grimes, answering your DMs while making pens.
So that was actually one of our listener questions, was Jody Oliphant. But I guess the other question is, what made you stick with pens? Because it sounds like you bounced around between different products. So what was it, just selling so well, or what was the deciding factor that you're like, oh, this is it?
No, it was this. It was okay. I homemade CNC'd a lathe. It was I mean, it was okay for the time, but producing, oh god, it was. I was in front of the machine for 10 hours a day. I said, what if I get a better lathe? Okay. Brad again says, buy this lathe. Again, I can't afford it. Shut up. Okay, I'll buy the lathe. So I bought the lathe. And then my production went way up. I'm like, oh, I could produce more if I got better machines. Maybe I'll make something else. When I said that, all my people were like, no, 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 no. Make a pen like this. And I'm like, okay, back then bolt action pens were just coming on the scene, right? They was like, how would you make a bolt action pen? And being Kelvin, being a mechanical engineer, being a research and development engineer, I'm like, I want to think of a way that is totally different from everybody else's. Okay, I do it like this. And back then, people would bend their pocket clips, right? So I said, what if I could CNC machine a pocket clip and still sell for the same price as everybody else's? Everybody said I was insane. So what Kelvin had to do was I had to spend 6 months of R&D figuring out how to fully CNC machine clips 1,000 or 2,000 a month. I know you don't understand how significant that is, but the majority of people, when they make a pocket clip, they do 30 a week because they're
Right.
so damn hard to work hold. I'm doing 1,000 a week.
Wow.
If I really get at it, I can do 1,000 a week. That's all I'm doing. I can do 1,000 a week.
So what kind of work holding are you using for your clips then? Or like what kind of pallet? I assume you have some kind of pallet system.
Huh?
How are you loading and holding your clips?
Huh? Oh, sorry, man. I can't hear you. But like I said, man, yeah, I'm making like 1,000 a week though. But yeah, at the time, everyone was asking me, how are you doing it? And I'm like, huh? I can't tell you that, man. Come on, man, for real. And I'm like, well, if you spent 16 hours a day for like 6 months trying to figure out how to do it, you will do it. You will do it. And then I did that, right? And then everyone was like, dude, we like your clips. I'm like, okay, cool. And then what else? I started getting into lean machining. I mean, like, what is the minimum amount of material I can remove to make something? And how do I get to that point and keep going? Then I started watching videos like John Grismo. Then I started watching videos like John Simons. I mean, I was watching them. Then I met Jay Pearson. That's when it went to nuclear levels. Cause Jay about that life. Jay is about that life. I walked in the Jay shop. Jay is like, I don't move from right here. I'm like, what? And I mean, okay, check it out. If you go on his channel, you will see that shop walk around. If you go on his channel and type in shop tour, I'm in the video. It was like 4 episodes. I walked out of there shaking. I'm like, this is what it can be. I mean, because before then, my idea was to keep the model that I had right now and just run that till the wheels fall off. When I saw his shop, I'm like, time to scale. Time to scale. If he can do this with this, making these big pallets, what can I do making little itty bitty pans? I can 10x everything. And I went like blitzkrieg nuclear. And basically what I did was that I said, okay, matter of fact, I told Jay the same thing. I made a column list, right? I said, okay, what do I sell? This. How do I sell them? On this. Okay, this is everything that I'm doing right now. Whatever does not support these two things gets crossed off the list. And these are things that, like, most businesses, like, you have to have a phone. No, I don't. It's the internet, baby. DM me. What you need to sign. Why? I'm internet only. And then you start going through that list, just crossing stuff off. And when you get to the end of the list, you're like, I had 30 things on here that were required for business. Now I'm down to 7. This is insane. And when I said this is insane, that's when I knew I was on to something. That's when I started saying, you know what? We got to get to an area that will support this model. Because this model is so different, so unique, that I can't do it even in the state I'm in. Because it's that damn insane. So I started researching, where can I run this model? And sure enough, my favorite state in America, Texas. And then what happened was that I would take trips out there every weekend and just go to different towns: Dallas, San Antonio, El Paso, Lubbock, Waco, Houston. I hated Houston. San Antonio, all them places, man. And finally, I found a spot in the middle of nowhere, which was actually a requirement. Because if you notice, if you really got to grow and you really got to concentrate and focus, you don't want to be around a lot of people. You want to basically be a hermit, because all you're going to focus on for the next 5 to 10 years is growing that model. You don't need distractions. You don't need, woo, party. You don't need none of that stuff. Nah. You want to wake up every day and just see like farmland and cows with as few distractions as possible. And I found a spot out there like that. So right now, we're building a facility, and I'm actually going to be going back out there again to check on the progress. It's kind of slow because it snows. Yeah, it snows in Texas, believe it or not. Yeah, real talk. And even when building a building, I'm like, how can I make a building to support this model? And all this, I mean, because I've had mentors before. I've had guys around here that had these huge, like 15,000 feet machine shops. They made parts to go on a space shuttle. Real talk. I know that guy. He was a mentor of mine. And he has all this stuff to do that business. And I'm looking at it going, I don't need 90% of this. I can roll with 10% of what he got and make the same money. Same money. Why? Because I cut out all the stuff that people have nostalgia for. Like, you need to have this. You need to have a receptionist. No, I don't. Why? Well, you got to do this. No, I don't. Why? Do you know that you can hire a virtual assistant in like Bangladesh for like $10 a month? She will handle your. You think I'm playing? Tim Ferriss, 4-hour work week. It's an old book. I thought, you know what, this stuff don't matter no more. So I looked the resources up in the back of the book. They still work. She will answer your email. She will reply to everything. I'm like, she will send flowers to your wife on anniversaries if you give her a number. She will call the flower shop, say, I want flowers to Dee Dee on the 14th. She will call the flower shop, give them the credit card number, and then put a note in there saying whatever you want to say, and you ain't do nothing. Am I saying that I'm going to do that? No. But what I'm telling you is, think outside the box. Matter of fact, screw the box. Ain't no box. Ain't no box. Destroy the box. Ain't no box. Make a square. Just draw a square and then cross it out. Same thing. So I made the building to support my model that I'm going to run once we move. And there's a lot of things. I mean, matter of fact, one dude was like, why do you need 24-inch concrete block, a 24-inch concrete slab? Now, see, what you got to understand is this. I'm going to give you a little bit of a lesson on internet money. Internet money don't have no zip code. If you make $100, you make $100. Now, what you got to understand is that $100 in Los Angeles is different than $100 in Texas. Why? Look at gas. In Los Angeles, you're going to pay $5 a gallon. In Texas, you're going to pay $2 a gallon. Same $100. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. So that's the big incentive behind the move is cost of living and taxes and all that.
That's one. That's one of them. What I'm trying to tell you is that just simply by moving your location, you increase profits by 35%. And you're doing the same stuff you did when you was over there. Same money. You're just changing zip codes. Cost of living is 70% what it is here. I got a 30% pay rate. I got access to 30% more capital just by moving locations. What would you do with the extra 35%?
Yeah,
Well, I
there's a
don't
lot you
know.
can do.
I'd hire more people. I'd get more machines. Get on it. With that 35% jump, you're gonna be able to double whatever you're doing. I'm getting the numbers now, but that's something different. But yeah, there's definitely a numerical advantage by changing locations. Not to mention that places in America, you don't know this, maybe you do. If you move to small cities, they will install three-phase for free wherever you want.
Really?
They, like I said, I'm entertaining, I'm funny, but I'm brilliant.
All
They
right.
will install your utilities for free. So hold on. I'm gonna come here. I'm gonna build this facility for less than a tenth of what it will cost here. You don't get no taxes because if you move in the middle of nowhere, they want businesses to come in, so they don't regulate you at all. I got that game from my mentor here. He had the biggest shop in California making products for the shuttle. He left and went to Nevada. He says, Kelvin, EPA bothered me every day when I was in California. I ain't seen them once here. One time. They ain't bother me. Nobody from the government. Tax collectors, nobody bothers me. I can focus on my business and I don't do nothing crazy. I still follow the rules, but the point is that they want me to stay. They want me to make money. So they give me a lot of stuff. They gave him a phase converter. They gave him phase converters. They gave him three phase. He's got like 1,200 amps. Do you know what kind of external converter that would cost? A step down converter? Oh man, a step down transformer.
A lot
And
of
they
money.
installed it. Yeah, and they installed it for free. All they said was put the building up first. And oh yeah, we will give you a civil engineer to help you do that.
Wow.
All
So
because go ahead, man. Go ahead, hit. Go ahead.
yes. So one of our listeners, Data Proto, asked, "Why do you need a 24-inch slab for your new shop?" Speaking of your new shop.
Okay, this is simply a vanity thing. Why? Because I had a choice between 12 inches and 24 inches. My contractor said, if you want 24, it's gonna cost you about $1,000 more. I said $1,000, and that's it. Yeah, and I can double the slab. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, that's an easy decision.
And I'm like, because I'm going up California prices. They're gonna charge you. Oh God, what the quote? I got a quote for slab. It was 25K for a 3,000 square foot slab at 6 inches.
Wow.
My slab over there, that's 24 inches, cost me about 20K.
That's crazy. So how big is your new shop going to be?
3,000 square feet, but we're already planning on expanding it another 1,500. I mean, by the time we got everything catted out, I called my contractor and I was like, "Hey, dude, I know you're gonna pour the slab and build it, but if we wanted to add like another half a shop, could you do that?" "Oh yeah, no problem." Because it's Texas. That's why. Texas. Texas is like, we don't care. I went into there thinking that okay, it's gonna be a bunch of contracts, much of this. This man looked me square in my eyes, shook my hand, and said, "You want the building right here?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Okay, give me a week." I'm like, "What? You want to sign a contract?" I'm like, "You want to sign a contract?" He's like, "Contract? This Texas. We just shoot you." I'm like, "Okay, all right, man. I'm liking Texas. I'm liking Texas." He said, he went, "If this thing goes south, we got problems." I'm like, "I like Texas, baby, because I'm all about that life. I'm all about that life." I like that life. So that's how that went down. And it's almost done now, so I ain't worried about it. The move's gonna be kind of crazy. Hey, what else y'all got, man?
So Split 141 asked, and you kind of answered this already, but where do you get your ideas for your products, and what's the deciding factor if a product's actually worthwhile? And so you said that you got a lot of your product ideas from asking your audience, but what is
That,
the deciding factor for you?
that, and market research. I
Okay.
spend a lot of time. It's okay. Most business owners do not know how to conduct research, and basically all that is my market expanding or contracting, and at my current capacity, how much of that market am I expected to service? Because one thing that a lot of them don't have, I have an attorney firm that handles all my business. I have a firm that all they do is set up, maintain business, and every time I call them, they give me an education. They say you got to do this and this. Matter of fact, I'm not gonna get into that because that's like Lex Luthor stuff, so I can mess with that. But you gotta get your business. Once, I mean, yes, it's cool to be the guy that talks. Yes, it's cool to have a shop. Yes, it's cool to make stuff. But I know most businesses that will run. I don't run numbers like this, but I know one guy that ran $2 million all through 2 checking accounts. Some of you are saying, okay, what's wrong with that? I'm going to give you a little hint. That's a problem. That is a major problem. Not gonna get into it. That's a whole nother subject. I will advise you to hire a CPA that specializes in business and ask him to give you an education. And if he says okay, you pay him whatever he wants and shut up. Just shut up. You know nothing. Shut up. If he says do this, shut up and do what he says. At the end of it, a matter of fact, who told me this? Who told us? My attorney, my personal attorney. He says you will never lose money. You will never lose money spending it on an accountant or an attorney. You will never lose money if you are doing it proactively. Now, if you're getting sued, different story. But if you're seeking knowledge and if you can shut up and do what they say, they will love you. They will give you extra time. They're like, no, no, no. I like talking to you. Why? Because you shut up and do what I say. You're not hard to teach. Most business owners, even the famous guys, do not have that game. If anything, if you get anything from this conversation, I would say talk to a CPA, talk to an attorney that specializes in business. Show him your model, and he will poke holes through it and get your stuff right. Because if your stuff is right, there's a lot of things that small businesses do that they shouldn't do and waste time on. If your business stuff is right, back end takes 15 minutes per week. Per week. QuickBooks, 15 minutes per week. Week, not day, week. Your taxes, an hour. 1 hour. Because most people waste time downloading, looking through, and saying, okay, how much am I going to budget? You should be able to pick up your phone, open your bank accounts, and within 5 seconds know exactly where you're at and close it. There's three, okay, matter of fact, I'm going to close with this. In business, I'm going to give you the master's course of business administration. There are only two things in business that matters. One, marketing. Two, product quality. In that order. That's it. You better be damn good at doing both of those. And I say you better be an expert in number one. Take Toastmasters. Start giving speeches in the middle of the quad. Get 1,500 sales jobs. Sell everything. Be a telemarketer. Matter of fact, if you're a male, talk to 1,500 girls. Just say hi every day. If you can get them laughing, you'll be able to sell. Start stand-up comedy. Matter of fact, my boy Sam, he was a graphics artist. I got him in the comedy. He's doing stand-up right now. He's like, man, this ain't that bad. I'm like, yeah, I know, it's fun, huh? I did that too. I did that too for a little bit. All my jobs were in sales or acting
Wow.
or media or radio.
So the one last question we did have from a few listeners,
Yeah,
PGF 545 and Dieter, was where do you get all your energy? You are constantly stoked all the time and just seem like you are always at a 10. Where does it come from?
man. Okay, okay. Look, there's no way of saying this without hurting some feelings, but I'ma say it for impact, so you understand just how much it matters. I was on the plane coming back from a vacation, and I went to a destination that was tropical heaven on earth. I was crying on the way back, saying I hate my life. I literally I got a notepad from stewardess, and I wrote down everything that I didn't like about my life, and then I wrote down on the next page how I'm going to destroy all of it. So for 16 hours on the way back, I thought first, I'm okay. I'll tell you the top three. First, quit my job, just walk out. Second, in my personal life, do this. Third, open my business and go full time. And because over there I was happy, and that's the point. So why are you so amped up? Because I'm happy. That's why I'm happy. It ain't complicated. I'm happy. The reason you ain't amped up is because you're not happy. Figure out what happy means to you. The reason I can come in your face and talk to you like I'm not flinching is because I know I'm coming from happy. I'm coming from happy. I'm looking at unhappy. You don't see it. You've never been truly happy. You're doing what your parents told you to do. You're doing what your wife told you to do. You're trying to uphold a standard that is not intrinsic. It's not coming from you. You got to find you first. And that means, I don't know how you're going to do it. I know how I did it. And I went to the extreme. I would not recommend doing it, but it's to the point where it's like this. I have known people to get in car accidents where the person to the right, the person behind them, and the person to the rear right all died except them. They walked out of that accident without a scratch. Do you know after the accident, he said, I don't know why I make it, why I made it. I was driving. It was my fault that my friends died. I don't know why I was saved, but from this point, I got nothing to lose. Because technically, I should be dead. That same guy, he went to Nepal, climbed Mount Everest, whatever the hell he did. He would work odd jobs going around Asia. He still ain't came back yet. Another friend of mine, he hit engineer too. Him and his mom was like real close. And he was always going over to Asia, coming back, going over to Asia, coming back. When his mom died, he snapped. He freaking snapped. He says, what am I doing? So he moved to Asia. Now he runs his show and his whole operation from Asia. And you know what he told me? He's like, I ain't never coming back. I'm like, why? I get why you're over there. Why should you come back? He says, I'm happy. I'm chasing happy. And that's what I'm trying to tell you is that throughout this entire process of my whole shop, I didn't get into it for money. I was chasing happy. I was happy as blowing up circuit boards. I was happy as machining. I'm happy machining now. Once you find out where you want to be, you don't want to be nowhere else. I just spent $800 on work boots. Why? Because I don't want to feel no other way. If I walk out the house, if I go 7-Eleven, I'm wearing my company shirt and my work boots. Why? Because this is who I am. If I go to church, I don't care. I'm cutting my work boots. I'm going to bring me wherever I am. I don't care what you say. I don't care how you feel. I'm happy. You can't tell me, well, your feet stink. Dude, I'm happy. The fact that you're taking the time out, that you are taking energy out of your life, that you have a finite amount of time, and you're using that energy just to try to pull some stuff out of me, what's wrong with you? I mean, to this day, I have never wished ill will on anyone. It has never been in me to F people over. That's why customer service is like, if somebody buys two things back to back, I know what happened. He bought this pen, he saw this pen, and he forgot to buy it, so he bought it afterwards. I just combine the shipping and then refund the like $5 that he like spent. I get emails back saying, "Why'd you do that?" I'm like, "Cause I can, and I see what happens."
Man, you would think that it would be thank you so much for doing that, not why
Well,
did
no,
you
I
do
mean,
that?
well. First they said why, then they said thank you, and I get the thank yous all the time. I'm like, I understand why you're thanking me, but from the point of I'm just not a dick. I've never wanted to do. I'm serious. I mean, some people will rob you blind for $5. Some people will do horrible things for a profit. I'm like, I ain't doing none of that, dog. That ain't me. I'm sorry. It's people call it. You don't have to like the killer instinct. You
Mm-hmm.
gotta understand, man. In like corporate America, that's what that stuff is. Because okay, look, if you have a company, right? The company gets paid based off of products that you produce and customer service that is served. That is what the company does. If you have one person working in that company, that one person is super accountable. As that company grows, you grow in personnel. At that point, it begins to be possible to where you have people that are not contributing to that final product or that customer service. These people that are not contributing are insulated by the people that are producing. I hate to say it like that, but there are some people who just want to show up and get paid. That's fine, but that only works in a large company where you can't be seen. I used to do talks, right? In companies, you got four types of people. You got A types, B types, C types, and D types. Of these types, you got three main factors. You got talent, skill. Wait, hold on. You got talent, you got skill, and you got ambition. The A types, right? They have high skill, high talent, high ambition. These guys will get into your company, learn everything. I mean, be phenomenal workers, but they leave within 2 years. Why? Because they figure out I'm smart enough to do this on my own. Those guys leave, start their own companies, and become CEOs. That's how Steve Jobs did it. That's how Mark Zuckerberg did it. That's how anybody you think that is huge, you all hear the same story. They started college, didn't finish. They started working here and said, screw this, I'm gonna do my own thing. This is easy. It's hard to get A types to stay because if your employee can do the same thing that you are able to do, he gonna leave. Because he's like, I can do this myself and get all the money. Then you got B types. Your B types have high skill, high talent, low ambition. That's not bad. They don't want B types do not want to make a system. They want to be in a system. And in that system, they excel. These guys typically make it to your like number two position, your upper management guys. They're very good in a system, but they can't really make one or they don't want to. Then you got C types. Your C types, they have they have talent, low skill, and low ambition. These are typically guys that are like, look, I want to show up, I want to get a task, and I want to learn how to do that task well. And then I want to leave exactly at 4 o'clock because I got hockey. Those are your C types. Your C types are typically your tradesmen, which is awesome. I was a tradesman for a long time. Matter of fact, I started off as a C and worked myself up to an A. So that tells you how that might work. Then your D types. This is where the problems lie. D types, low talent, low skill, high ambition. So yes, you're laughing because you know what I'm about to say.
Yeah, I know these
So
people.
that's a problem because they don't have the talent or skill to excel in a meritocracy. Therefore, they must rely on treachery to get ahead. But ultimately, they will make it to the top position. But in that top position, they flounder because at that point, there's no one else to insulate them. Their lack of talent and skill is shown naked. And they usually get fired right there. That's usually where you have a manager that will come in and the manager is not competent, not due to lack of skill or lack of wanting. They just don't get it. So they start making a lot of bad decisions. And then to cover up those decisions, they will throw people under them under the bus. A lot of attrition happens like that. Until finally the people under them say, I will no longer work with XYZ, which we call in the military mutiny.
Right.
And mutiny does not work. But any good commander will go, this is the military. You cannot do that. Go back and do what you're told. And then when they walk out, they low-key fire the guy. Because
Right.
any good commander knows that, okay, where there's smoke, there's fire. Let me pay attention to this guy. Oh, wait, they're right. I can't say they told me to fire you because that would incite mutinies all around the Air Force or whatever. But I listen to my people because, like the Pope, I serve you, you don't serve me. I need you to do my job, so I got to get this guy out of here. Why? Not because he's a horrible person, it's just that he's toxic in this company. So I got to get him out for the good of the company. That's a spectrum right there. That's a spectrum in any company.
I've definitely
If you,
seen that wide variety of people for sure.
yeah. And people can transition from A to D very easily. Because somebody can get a kick in the pants or a fire under their butt and instantly go from a C to an A, which is what happened to me.
Yeah,
But
you just
yeah,
got to fight in the right passion for sure.
exactly. And that's I had my moment when I was like, okay, none of y'all make this. Can none of y'all make anything? If you guys say you're better than me and you can't make anything, I'm gonna kill you. I got you. I got you. You will never talk down on me again because I will smoke you in real world, which is what happened. I always had a problem of not thinking outside the box, but thinking inside the box. That was my problem.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody gave me a task, I would think in the most crazy, insane way, like SpaceX way of doing it. So what ended up happening was that I gravitated towards projects nobody wanted. They were just so hard and so difficult that they got it wrong. Their like career would be ruined. But that's all I did. And people left me alone. It's crazy. People left me alone. They're like, nah, don't bother him, man. If he leaves, then we gotta do it. So nah, folks. You stay right in your corner. You stay right in your corner. We ain't gonna bother you at all, dog. It's all right, man. As a matter of fact, here's a raise because you handle all the jobs nobody wants. So that's it, man. That's me.
Well,
Awesome.
I
think
definitely
that's
learned a lot, not just from machining, but real life things, especially being a bit younger. So I definitely appreciate all of that.
Yeah, no worries, man.
Yeah, thanks so much, Kelvin, for coming on. We really appreciate it. And is there anything you want to plug? Any new products or you know, opportunities for your followers that you want to plug before we end?
Yeah, follow my Instagram. If you like what you heard today, follow my Instagram. It's Urban with a U Survival Gear on IG. You'll see the logo. I try to update every day, but it ain't been happening. So I'm so busy. I do once a week. My website, urbansurvivalgear.net. That's .net, not .com. If you go there, I got pins. To be real with you, man, it's hard to keep them in stock. Real talk, real talk. I try my best, man. I try my best to keep pins in stock. I really do, but I do what I can. The next drop is on March 6th. Check calendars. I got some Cerakote stuff on there. New stuff. I'm not gonna drop anything new until after I move because I got some moves to make out there. You're gonna see some new, not new product, new machines, pretty much. Once I get the new
Awesome.
machines, yeah. Once I get the new machines, then everything gonna be all right.
That's fantastic. I'm looking forward
Thanks,
to
man.
seeing what you end
Thank you.
up with.
Thanks. Oh, you're gonna love it, man, because it's gonna be wild. Because once I hire the media crew, then you're gonna see a lot more of me.
Awesome. Oh, very cool.
I'm going full Gary V.
Awesome.
Very cool. Well, again, thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming on, and everybody that listening, you guys. Well, this should be out later in this week, so everybody will be able to hear our great interview. And thanks everyone for listening.
Yeah, thanks again, and we will see you guys next week with Dylan and I on episode 34.
Great. Later, man.